sure there was no GRU or other involvement?
No, like you can't know. I'm not sure. No. I said that in the case of Strelkov, who is the person people point to as the FSB or GRU,
Which is a moot point.
Okay, exactly. But if you look at Strelkov's behavior and what Strelkov stood for and the agenda he pursued, it was directly contrary to Moscow's agenda.
But you think there was no Russian
and
involvement?
he says, Strelkov himself says that although they may have known about it, okay, they were not involved. As I mentioned, his political head, Ivanov writes a letter to the newspaper saying Putin is an enemy. So these guys running the show.
His admission in Crimea that he was behind, that he was there working with the Green Men. His admission. You heard it.
I mean, Strelkov has played a horrible role in this whole thing. Okay, but I do not see Strelkov and Putin are not the same.
They're not. But one other point is, you poo-poo the fact that there could have been false flag shellings by the rebels on the Russian side of civilian areas.
Even if there have been.
What happened to Baltz? The Ukrainian military was not in the city. The city has been leveled, and there's many others by the separatists.
Okay,
but you did not mention that at all.
I will say this: that up until I would say January, the vast majority of shelling of cities was done by the Ukrainian army. Only because...
You have no way of knowing that.
Oh, let's look at Slavyansk, okay? Huge damage was done to Slavyansk. The rebels had zero artillery.
And what about Hamas tech? It's not true. Hamas tactics of putting artillery, putting weapons in Donetsk, and civilians are begging, take out the weapon, take out the artillery.
Okay, right. Let's look at Slavyansk. What did Strelkov have in Slavyansk? He had a couple of tanks, he had 2 Nona, 2 S9, self-propelled mortars.
Well, that was
which he'd stolen from the Ukrainians. Okay, so he had precisely 2 self-propelled mortars. And you look at the damage which was done to Slavyansk by artillery. That was done by Ukrainian artillery. There is simply no way that was done by false flag operations by the rebels. I can't discount anything.
The Russians just kept. The rebels just kept us in Russian operatives by Donetsk the other day.
Okay, are you denying? So you're denying that the Ukrainian army has fired Grad, Uragan, Smerch rocket launchers into Donetsk and Lugansk and everything else? They fired thousands
back when they were fired at. Back when they were fired at, they were fired back. Of course, it's a war.
It's a war. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying it's.
But you can't just say that this is, you complete discount. Another thing is Russian shelling across the border. You say, these are.
I said it happened.
That's okay.
No, I didn't say it was okay. I said it happened. So you're saying me I'm biased, but I'm admitting. I say that Russian troops came into Ukraine.
And you think that the Russians were not behind this.
Simply did not repeat the things that were already said in the Western media.
I actually say.
I'm not as pro-Ukrainian as they come. I was in Kharkov when this.
I actually say that if you look at the real, Kremlin studio, they'll say, "Oh, there's no proof of Russians in Ukraine." Blah 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 blah. I don't say that. All I say is it's not just the Russians' fault. It's also the Ukrainian government's fault. And then you accuse me of being like some Russian stooge. And that's an example of why we're in such a freaking mess. Because people are not willing to admit that there's blame on all sides.